Welcome everybody. It's another night in the Garudio. Special evening.
Coming at you live.
From
Grudio 1.
Grudio 1.
1 in beautiful greater Los Angeles area.
California. Fucking asshole.
How you doing today,
You
Josh?
explained it to me and it made sense.
Yes.
Pretty good, Ryan.
That's good. Formal introductions are over with. We may now begin.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Welcome. It is episode 18.
18. We're rolling, dude. We're doing a good job. We've been pretty good coming back. I mean,
yeah, we've been back to our once a week schedule for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
So
one of them doesn't count really because it was just 2 parts.
Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah,
we artificially made it. So
hey, it got us warmed up. We got back into it. We're hitting the bricks, or we're hitting the pavement. We're keeping it real. What do you want to do tonight, Ryan?
Well, Josh, let me tell you.
Oh man.
I figure we're gonna almost 100% of this conversation, until we get sidetracked like we always do, is going to be about Logan. Yeah. Because we both saw it last week.
Yes, we saw it.
Actually, not last week, 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
I was on vacation, unfortunately, so yeah. This is a 2 week gap. Pretty soon it'll be a 1 week gap. So.
Yeah, we're trying to close that gap down, but we're also just, watching movies at the pace that we can. And we don't catch all of them, but we catch some of them.
And to be honest, let's start here from the beginning. We're going to avoid major spoilers.
Yeah, up front. We're going to try to avoid major spoilers.
But that being said, there will be spoilers no matter what. And you should go see this movie. This is basically a discussion. Go see the movie. That is our review. So come back after you've seen it. That's another reason why it's kind of 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Kind of trying to wait. But at the same time, I was telling you, what was it, yesterday? It's if you don't get what's going to happen in this trailer, just based on the trailers.
They haven't been, yeah. And
then, because this is not subtle.
No, and they haven't been.
And that's not a knock on the movie at all.
No, they haven't been sly about their marketing or their interviews or anything. It's the last performance of these 2 actors as these roles. So
exactly. Yeah. And I wish like hell it was the official end of the franchise.
Yeah,
I mean, you can keep going with Deadpool because Deadpool's really not X-Men. He's his own
and
guy.
this wasn't an X-Men movie either.
No, it's not. But it is. But it isn't. It's its own entity.
It's as much an X-Men movie as the standalone character Marvel movies are Avengers movies.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you're Captain America and they just steal all his movies.
And then it's just, it's Avengers.
It's just Avengers 2.5.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start, dude.
Where do we start? But we got the spoiler warning out of the way.
Which I think is important, but at the same time, like I said, if you can't glean what's gonna happen, you I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess I'll start, Josh.
All right, go ahead, man.
I had, you were pretty pumped for this movie. I was like, yeah, it looks good.
But I went into a total media blackout.
Yeah, and I, even more so because I couldn't stand the trailers.
Yeah, you hated the trailers.
The songs, and they were just...
You are not a Johnny Cash fan.
But, I went into this just like, yeah, cool, I'll probably enjoy myself. Maybe it'll be at most, it'll be a Deadpool, hopefully. But I wasn't expecting...
Of the quality, not the same comedic.
No.
Yeah.
But as my enjoyment of it, and I actually came to love Deadpool more and more because at the beginning,
because we talked about that because upon initial viewing we were kind of like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah,
that was all right.
I don't have any flaws with it, but it didn't wow me too much. And then as time went on,
I was like, holy crap, I really really liked that movie. It's just another case where we were talking last week with Lego Batman.
Yeah,
they didn't set a tone and then they didn't pick a tone and then write around that concept. They wrote a movie about a character that had a tone.
Some of this might sound hypocritical if you listen to the last episode, but we do make a point.
We did touch on that where
we said hopefully Logan will be an example of what you should do. You do it
how
right.
to do it properly. Yeah,
exactly.
How to do it properly.
So, and lo and behold, that is exactly what this movie is.
Was that and more. It was that and more, dude. This is probably not just my favorite X-Men film, but probably my favorite comic book film of all time.
I'll say this. It's the best comic book movie I have ever seen. It is not my favorite.
Since the last.
Yeah, exactly. Since the last one. But it's not my favorite, but I recognize that it is probably the best one ever made. And it blows me away. It stuck with me a couple days after I saw it.
I'm still thinking about parts of this movie, dude. Dude. It's just, and it's because it's not a spectacle.
No, not at all. There's plenty of amazing scenes.
Oh, yeah, but they're not...
It's not CGI.
None of it is over the top either, dude. It's not... None of it feels forced. The violence in the film is totally apropos of the character. And I was concerned when everybody was making a huge deal out of rated R Wolverine, finally. And I was like...
He's just going to be a murderous psychopath.
Great. He's going to be a murderous psychopath.
Yeah.
And he's going to unnecessarily cuss.
Yeah.
And it's just like... And it's funny, dude, because... Like, from the word go, like, the first line in the movie is him going, fuck.
Fuck. Yeah, the very first, I believe the first line
But,
is
like,
fuck.
It's so funny, because it's just like old grandpa being stirred from his slumber, kind
exactly.
of. Fuck.
It's an annoyed man.
Where we are with the characters in the film is... Everything's gone.
Yeah.
This is a very bleak film.
It is, yeah.
It is old Wolverine, and he is just bitterness and regret embodied.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny. I was talking to you about this last night. I was like, oh, I don't want to talk about the movie. And I'm just like, now that we're doing it, I'm just like, I don't even know where to start with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it was poignant.
Yeah.
It was funny, dude, because I felt like it reflected the fatigue that we as moviegoers feel with the superhero film. And like 100%, if you are getting tired of superhero movies, this is the cure for that. Because like I was saying, it's not a spectacle. It's not, action set to action set to action set with a little bit of plot in the middle. It is a very heavy plot movie. This is another case.
It's not a big bad world threatening threat.
Or even just like he has to figure out how to beat this guy that's doing the crimes or whatever, or he's trying to use the technology evilly or anything like that. It's just it's simply a story of a man, his daughter, his estranged daughter, and his deteriorating father.
I wouldn't even... I mean, no spoilers, but I wouldn't call her an estranged daughter, but yeah.
Well, I don't know how else to describe her.
It's true, because it's... Yeah. There's no... Yeah, there's no way to be a deadbeat dad when you never conceived the child.
When you never conceived the child, yeah, exactly. But I suppose... Dude, I'm trying to figure out how to approach the characters and stuff like that, dude. Because it's just... You've got so much. There's so much involved in it. You've got, like... Wolverine just regrets everything he's ever done in this whole movie. And he's still trying to do right by Charles. And just... Everybody's gone but them.
Exactly.
And it's really interesting because you have this case... Of the movie is so many different movies in one movie.
Oh yeah,
and it's like you've got the angry, deteriorating father and the fuck up son. Like this isn't Cyclops trying to take care of Charles. This is the bad kid.
Yeah,
that's still around trying to take care of the. And it's it's interesting. That was so interesting to me because it is just like, it's like what I thought the Judge was going to be, and kind of just fell into like a Hallmark film. The scene in the movie, one of the when you first see Charles, and Charles is a wreck.
Oh yeah,
he is mentally incompetent at this point. He's it's Alzheimer's, I believe.
He's having a
dementia.
Yeah.
He's just falling apart, and you deal with the movie of
a degenerative brain disease, basically,
and
which could be any number of things.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But when you see him, he is in a very not delusional, a very confused. Yeah, he was just confused and
yeah, he didn't know what was going on. Like he's talking
delirious.
to him about delirious. There you go. He's telling Wolverine that he can't be there. He has to. They need him at the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And Logan's just picking him up off the floor, and he's just like, the Statue of Liberty was a long time ago, Chuck. And just Charles looks at him in the face and says, "What a disappointment you are." And it just kind of
said, "Fuck you, Logan."
Yeah, he said, "Fuck you, Logan. What a disappointment you are." Dude, and it's just, it really sets the tone for what's going on with these two at the time, dude. And it's just, it is heartbreaking.
He's a very,
Charles Xavier will make you sad through the whole movie.
Yeah, and I liked Charles, and I
loved Charles in this movie.
I liked Patrick Stewart, did an amazing job.
He lost 20 pounds, which is an amazing feat for a man of Patrick Stewart's age. He lost 20 pounds for this movie. It blows my mind that this is being touted as based on the Old Man Logan comic book, because this is the story that Old Man Logan should have been. It is so much more heartfelt and so much more deep and great. It's just, Old Man Logan is a pile of shit. You don't read a lot of comics, so you don't really know Mark Miller that well.
Yeah.
Mark Miller is to comics what Zack Snyder is to film.
Yeah.
If you can identify with that. And it's just, it's obnoxious.
Yeah.
It is the 13-year-old's idea of what mature comic book telling is.
Yeah.
And this story is so much what that claims to be.
Yeah. But yeah, Wolverine at the start is just fucking a wreck of a person. He's just going through.
Those guys are trashing the limo because he's a driver. He's working as a driver at night to fund his and Charles's escape, because he's trying to take. Charles is out of control because his mind is breaking down. He's losing control of his powers.
He's having seizures, which
shake entire areas. Like everyone around them in the immediate area is affected by his deterioration. And it's when you describe it, it sounds ridiculous, but when you see it, it's actually very sad.
Yeah.
And it's just because he has no control over it. He thinks he does, but he doesn't. So Logan's working to buy the Sunseeker. The Sunseeker, which is this yacht.
Yeah.
And because Logan's whole plan is to take Charles out to sea, where no one can be affected by his problems. And
they don't have to be bothered by anything.
They don't have to be bothered by anything or anyone. It's just going to be the two of them until...
But they're hiding out, but it's almost like nobody really... They know they're there, but nobody really cares.
Nobody really cares. Yeah. That was... that's when Donald gets introduced.
Yes.
And Donald is the quote-unquote villain of the film.
Yeah, but there's no villain.
There really isn't. There's just a guy who's a dick.
Yeah.
There's a corporation who's a dick.
Yeah, and it's not even like they were, like I said, nobody cares about them. Nobody's even hunting them down.
No.
Like, they know, like, when they die, they'll be dead, and who cares?
Yeah. And it's, that was one thing I liked about Logan in the movie, is he's dying the whole fucking time.
Oh, the whole fucking time.
Dude.
They bring up very early on, like, you're sick, like, you're being poisoned.
Yeah, what is wrong with you? And he knows, but you don't know. Mm-hmm. And then at one point he tells you, but this is later on in the movie, and it's like an aside in dialogue, but you're so aware that he's falling apart and that he knows that when he just drops this bomb on you, you're not like, oh, well, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're aware of the situation, and then when he says what's wrong with him, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes perfect, and it explains so much of what else is going on with him in the movie. Like, his healing factor is just done.
Yeah.
He's old and he's tired.
You see
and
it
it's all falling
working
apart.
a tiny bit early on.
Wounds that he would have taken in hours.
Yeah.
And the wounds that would take him minutes to heal now are taking him days.
Yes.
And I love that by the end of the movie, he's like fucking
Not
John
healing.
McClane in Die Hard. No,
Yeah.
he's
not healing.
He's not healing at all by the end of the movie. He's done.
Yeah.
But I love when he gets out of the car at the beginning of the movie and the dudes are fucking with the car because he wakes up abruptly to these people trying to steal the tires off of his limo.
Yeah.
And he gets out and he's like, guys, come on. This is a rental. And then they shoot him and he gets up and he's like, seriously, come on. You know?
Yeah, they shoot him again.
And they shoot him again and then he goes batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And,
pulls out the claws, and one of them doesn't even come out all the way.
And I was going to say that, dude. That was my favorite part. He goes, all right, fine. And he gets up, pops the claws, and two of them pop out on one hand, and the other one just kind of goes, and just stops.
Yeah.
And it's not even out all the way, dude. And then and another scene in the movie, he's pulling it out, and he's hurting him.
Yeah.
Pulling, not just because he's pulling a blade, but because I imagine that's like the mechanism inside his hands,
Yeah.
you know, the natural bones,
The
or whatever.
bone,
Yeah,
claw.
Be like if a cat couldn't get its claw out, I imagine.
Yeah.
And that was just like when you see it happen, you're kind of like, ha 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 ha, that's funny. But then you see the scene where he's trying to pull the claw out, and you just realize the state that he's in.
Yeah, he drives from that, like, it's a little comical, and then he drives from that moment in the film, the introduction, into what life he's been living.
Yeah.
And that's when things get a little ugh.
And a character from Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse, which we can't remember if we talked about or not.
You know what? I think I finally figured it out. I think we did talk about it in the Lost episode 7.
We probably did. The one that we didn't put up.
The one that we forgot about. We recorded an episode that never got put up. So
we should do that one day.
Yeah.
Caliban. Mutant with the ability to detect other mutants.
Yeah, he was in Apocalypse?
He was in Apocalypse. When they go to the underground, when Mystique and Nightcrawler go to the underground, he's the pale guy that gives them their passes out of the
Yes.
He sucks in that movie. In this movie, he's very, very cool. The only thing missing from his character is he doesn't talk in the third person. Because he's Caliban this, Caliban can help, Caliban can do this, Caliban will take care of Charles and all that. Caliban is kind of the housemaid. He's an albino, and
they're in Mexico.
Is it Mexico or is it the Texas like?
No, they're in Mexico. He goes through the border.
He does go through the border. That's right. Because I thought they were outside of El Paso. No, they saw him in El Paso. That's what led Donald to him.
Yeah. So he crosses back and forth for work in and out of
the states,
the country.
Yeah. But Caliban stays with Charles all day and is kind of the nursemaid, and he's just put out and had it.
Yeah.
He's just like, I can't do this all day. He almost killed me. He won't even talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just Logan is the only person that Charles will talk to, and all he does for the whole beginning of the movie is berate Logan for being a total fuck up.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because this is something they never did in the movies, as I recall. They never dealt with Charles's promise, and it's in the comics, that he will try to tame Logan's base primitive natures.
Yeah.
It seems kind of hypocritical, and I liked that about the movie because it's just like he's always telling him what a fuck up and what a disappointment he was.
Yeah.
When all Charles ever did was willingly use Logan as a weapon.
Yeah. No, and
I thought that was great.
And yeah, there was a little bit of just him berating him overall, but a lot of it too was Logan being a dick to him. He was telling him
that's true.
Current situation. He says, like fucking
you hate
like
me.
mutants are fucking done. Like
mutants are gone.
We're a fucking mistake. Like stop talking about how cool we are.
Yeah,
like,
you thought we were God's gift to mankind, and we're just God's mistake.
Like shut up and let me take care of you.
And
like a lot of the shit talk was from that, but he also does kind of shit talk him in general.
He just kind of starts because Charles sets it off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's this whole antagonistic relationship between the two of them. It's so great.
It's amazing.
But it's like there's a love underneath. And it's not just like, well, I have to take care of him. No one's going to do it but me. I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
there is a real love there between the two characters, dude, and I love that, dude, because it's not that Charles needs Logan and Logan needs Charles. It's that they're doing this because they love each other.
Shit's going down, and fucking Charles is the number one priority for Logan.
And so many times in the movie, he goes back and picks Charles up.
Yeah. There are scenes where, like, because when I had first seen the amount of the trailer that I could stomach, I was like, oh, okay, so it's going to be this whole, like, kind of dystopian for mutants thing, which there is a little bit of undertones of that, but
it looks like a post-apocalypse.
I was like, they're going to be there the whole time, and then they actually leave that initial place where they're staying.
Well, yeah, that's the end of Act 1.
Yeah, that's just it. And fucking, so there are times where he just has to tell people that it's his dad.
Yeah.
And it's just and it's always like very heartfelt. Like, you know what I mean? They don't go the angle of just like, oh.
Yeah. And then when Laura gets introduced, you get this revitalization of Charles. Mm-hmm. Once again, his life has purpose. He's going to save this little girl.
There's a mutant for him to teach. And
exactly. And that's where I think his need and desperation comes in, dude, because he's so... What about Laura? Don't forget Laura. We have to get Laura. We have to save Laura.
He plays an amazing...
He's so
He plays an amazing, like, frail old man for as old as he is, he's fucking witty and full of life. But, like, in this movie, he kills it. Not only that, he nails this old Charles thing. Like I said, he's doing the old man thing where they're just like, oh, they care about kids because they're old and dumb. But like also, it plays into his character and how he's still a teacher.
He was a teacher
and they talk
and a protector and a guide. Yeah, he was a guide.
They have a conversation where, like I said, they're traveling.
He works almost as an aged Jiminy Cricket too for Logan as a conscience. Because he's constantly when the farm truck goes over and they got to help the horses and he says we need to help them and Logan's like no, we need to keep going, and he's like we have to help them, and he's like someone will come along. He says someone has come along. So then Logan gets out and Charles does his brain thing, and it's the one time
he uses his powers
where he has control.
Voluntarily.
He calms these horses down and they're all able to take the horses in, and I really think that family knew what was up. I don't think, because, I mean, they all kind of looked at him and looked at the horses, and the horses were all calm because they're freaking out, running all over the street and everything.
Yeah.
But,
it's just great. Every bit of it.
It's funny because we're talking about the plot. We're not talking about the action. And I feel like that's fun. That's interesting in a comic book film conversation, because the trailers present action. A lot of action, there's great action, but it's so sparse.
You feel it all. It's all necessary, and it almost all feels like them trying to escape. They would rather not be doing it.
Yeah, no. Logan isn't fighting because he fights. Logan is fighting because he has to.
Yes.
He doesn't want to.
And
when they show up at the compound to take Laura back, because that's the main thing. This guy Donald, who works for this company called Transigen, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
He's the leader of a group of hunters called Reavers, and I loved the way they did the Reavers, because the Reavers from the comic books were ridiculous. Like, these guys are just cyborgs. They've got robot arms, robot legs, stuff like that. And in the comics, there was a guy that was like a man on top, but like a tank on the bottom. It was ridiculous. And I'm glad that they didn't do that route. But when they show up at the compound, because she sneaks into Logan's trunk in the limo, and now they've got her.
Yeah.
And Logan's like, what the fuck? He's just like, they know where I live. They know this. We have to go now.
Yeah.
And they show up, and there's this whole... Where was I going with this? Oh, about the violence and the fighting. There's this whole avoid violence at all costs thing, even on the bad guy's part. And I love that, because Laura comes out of the building after they sent a guy in to get her, and she's fucking just killed this fucking guy. She comes walking out, bloody, and fucking...
Severed head,
yeah. And Donald is standing there, and he's just Laura, Laura,
Yeah.
Laura, no, and then just goes back up. Everyone back up like that, and it's just like it's avoid conflict at all costs in this movie. That was so interesting because it's always just like, well, now we fight, and it's everyone was trying to avoid fighting that, and I felt like that was necessary because it establishes just how dangerous characters like Wolverine and Laura are.
Yeah, and they even had parts that were almost poking fun at over the top action.
Yes.
So like their escape plan was to like bust through the fence.
He floors it into this fence.
And he just gets stuck.
He just gets stuck and then has to drag the fence with them.
Yeah, that was it.
It's so funny.
Yeah, there was a little over the top with the train, but it was done well, and everything was very down to earth movie action,
believable.
Not comic book action.
No, there was Laura did a little bit of it, but she's so small that it made sense.
It was just
she's climbing all over dudes and flipping around them and using her. Like one of the coolest parts is when she's fighting a particular character and is just on top of his shoulder and just into his shoulders.
Yeah.
And that little girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that little kid, dude. She is such an adorable little murder ball.
Yeah, for sure. And they didn't. And even though we're talking about like the violence was a little subdued, the action, whatever, the violence was done sparsely. But when it happened, they pulled no punches.
No,
you see the girl gets fucking harpooned.
And I was gonna say it's so
chest.
interesting that it's rated R because of the violence. Because like I remember Indiana Jones and stuff like that, and nothing in this is worse than what I saw in like Indiana Jones and stuff like that.
But it's graphic violence.
It is graphic violence. Well, you do it, but it's like I don't know. It didn't seem like what I've come to expect when somebody does a rated R movie, where it's just like there's a cannon of blood.
It's not gratuitous, but it's still graphic.
It's very gory.
There's no quick cuts. Like they'll show fucking what it looks like to have somebody fucking have claws go through their face.
Yeah. When they harpooned the little girl, I really felt that was the most intense the action got. Well, no,
because they didn't go too far with the violence against kids.
No,
but that one bit was like, holy shit.
Yeah, they just fire a harpoon straight at this kid, and it goes right through her shoulder.
Yeah,
and you watch that happen.
Yeah,
and it was just that took me back that they did that to a what? She's probably 10.
Yeah.
To a 10-year-old, just fucking that they just and it just comes out of nowhere. There's no playing it up. You see him setting the rifle up, and it's like you're saying, it's not gratuitous. There's just a harpoon that goes through this child.
Yeah. And
it's not like mountains of blood, just fountains of blood shooting all over the place and stuff like that. It's just boom, and she screams, and there's
Yeah, they go full believable movie gore.
Yeah.
But they don't go gratuitous. So it's like everything they did.
You're not getting, I guess, you're not getting Saw or some kind of slash movie or Kill Bill or something like that. Yeah, no. This is very realistic, like Jason Bourne, John Wick level type of violence.
War movie. That's what I say. War action movie.
War movie. Yeah.
Like it's that.
Saving Private Ryan.
They didn't go. They didn't even go full Deadpool with it. I don't think.
No. Yeah, so. No. Nobody got like their jaw cut off. And they were just like, No, it was like it was so appropriate. That's the thing too. It was so satisfying, which is so funny because we were talking about in the last one.
Everything felt impactful.
But yeah, that's the difference between like what we were talking about.
And it and the violence and showing. Here's the thing, fucking when you have Wolverine and the other ones, and it's like, sure, he's pushing his claws into a guy and then he dies.
There's no blood.
But there's nothing there. You're just like, okay, but this one, it actually plays into the regretful life he lived.
Oh, yeah.
When you see him coming face to face with what he does affects people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You fully get that would wear on somebody's mind when you are now seeing
it's that
the full effect of fucking putting his claws
that
through
exchange
somebody.
Between him and Laura towards the end of the movie where he says, I've hurt a lot of people, and she's like, I've hurt people too, and they were all bad, and he's like, well, that's something you're gonna have to live with. And it's so he is the worst father figure ever.
Oh yeah. It's literally the last 10 minutes of the movie. He decides that he wants to help this girl.
He wants to help. Actually help. The girl.
The whole time, basically, like you were saying, Charles was his number one priority, and the only reason this girl kept getting helped is because he had no choice, because Charles wouldn't fucking
kind
stop
of a collateral damage situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch because it doesn't even take over immediately, that scenario, because she starts taking care of him first. I'm losing track of my thoughts.
Like I said, everything in this movie was great, but not okay. There's one major weird decision. And it's not even really a spoiler, because like it doesn't do a lot for it affects the plot, but like we're not going to talk about that. Basically, it's the fact that mutants and X-Men in this world now is kind of an odd thing.
Yeah.
They're like a time long past at this point, because it's like 2029.
Yeah, so 2029. I think they said it was like 15 years.
Yeah.
Been 15 years since the last one?
Yeah.
They'd seen the last mutants?
Yeah.
Because all the mutants are gone.
Yeah.
Except for this new crop of kids.
Yeah, that you didn't
and they're
know
not
about.
You didn't know about or anything like that. They kind of show up.
And they're mutants, but they're not mutants as you would have known.
No, they are mutants on a scientific level, on a lab level, not a birth level.
Yeah. So basically there's this meta X-Men comic thing going on.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and like it's kind of weird that they chose to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were talking about like Iron Man products and how they fit those into the movies and stuff like that. But like I don't know, it didn't feel like it worked in the world of the comic and in the world of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird bit.
It's like the girl has X-Men comics, and that was a thing, and they talk about like, this is all just made up hooey.
Yeah.
And it's
that part was funny, where he's just like, half of it didn't even happen. And I was like, yeah, it did. I've seen the other movies. It's all happened.
Exactly.
But so that was a little weird. But watching the bond grow between everybody, and the best part of the movie is the dinner scene.
Yeah,
they're all sitting around eating dinner with this family at a farmhouse.
Yeah, and also that's followed by probably the most comic booky of the action scenes as well. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everything right there was just so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it worked, because it was just so crazy. And
it was, dude. It
dialed it up
out of nowhere, and it was like a quick reminder that you were in fact in a comic book movie.
Yeah,
it was this whole bit where they just,
and it was just brutal too. It wasn't goofy.
No.
It was little, but
I felt,
but I liked it.
I felt kind of bad about that family.
Oh yeah,
I was because right from the beginning what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's why.
But it was like a Hitchcockian thing where you know what's gonna happen, but you don't know when.
Yeah,
and you don't know how. And there's a tension that's there, and
that was what was so brutal.
That was what was so great about it.
Because it's just like, and so great. That's why the dark, like, because I would say it's a little dark and unnecessary, but like it was perfect.
It was what needed to happen as a climax, because that's, I would say, the end of Act 2.
Yes.
And I just love, because you never see it in any of the movies, Wolverine or X-Men in general, where one of the heroes is just gradually falling apart for the whole thing. And by the end of the movie, Logan has nothing left.
Yep.
Like that one part,
and it shows that, and it really shows that like he's and it really shows that he's like, I'm not a fucking hero. I don't think he ever says that, but like it's played up that like he doesn't care about the X-Men or any of that shit anymore.
He is not saving the world. He's trying to save himself.
And fucking there is a man who basically fucking shows him like, dude, you fucking suck. You did this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, it's an amazing movie all the way through. It's a little long, and it didn't feel its length. It was
No, that was so funny. It's like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And I never felt the time. I was never just like, are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah. When's this part going to be over?
Yeah, no. Can we? And that's what's funny, dude, because you think, like, I think back to another comic book film that had a farmhouse scene where I was just like, oh my God, are we done yet?
Yeah. For sure.
But that was a victim of several circumstances.
Yeah, that movie is just I champion.
I know that you enjoy
I
it.
champion for enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
But I fully fucking know that movie suffers from so many faults.
It's sad because I don't know why they didn't. We're talking about Age of Ultron.
Yes.
I don't know why they didn't just let him make his fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like it sucks. They were just like, well, we put Thanos in
and
it.
I was gonna say, and even if they did, I know there are still a lot of big elements that you didn't like. So no matter what, you weren't gonna like it very much. Yeah. It's just we've been over it so fucking much. But you're right. Yeah, it had a down to a slow. It did the slow down fucking farmhouse thing like 400 times better. You know?
But I loved that bit of that movie, dude, and I loved that scene where Logan just stands in front of the dad, and the dad pulls the trigger.
Yep.
You know, like I was just like Logan knows what he did. He knows this is his fault.
He's like I didn't save you. I'm fucking enacting revenge right now.
Exactly.
And you're going to be part of it.
This has nothing to do with you. Yeah. God, dude. And just that whole bit, dude, that was the one for me, dude. It's just Patrick Stewart's performance in that part is the crowning part of the whole movie. It is the best part of the whole film. Just him in that bed. He hasn't been on his meds, and he's pieced everything together, and it's so sad. And I loved that was left a mystery for us to figure out throughout the film. What happened to the X-Men? What happened to the mutants? And I don't know if you know this, but there is the script called for every time he's dreaming in the film. You're supposed to see flashbacks. He talks to Jean. You see the X-Men. There's supposed to be all this stuff that was supposed to be in the movie. And what's the director's name? Jerry. John. Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll look it up in a minute.
Yeah, he's not a big name.
He's not a big name, but no, he had the foresight to say, no, we're going to cut that out.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I feel like it did so much for the movie, just seeing him go, ugh, you know, because it's just, he's tortured.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You go along on this ride where you don't know all the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
You know that there's a picture that's going to be put together, and you get to piece it together as you go. And it's the characters know, but you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's so great. And it's just like when Patrick Stewart told him, he's like, you didn't tell, when Charles tells him, you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And I know you hate me.
Yeah.
And it was...
He said, I don't deserve it. I had a great night and I don't deserve it.
And I don't deserve... Yeah, this is the greatest night of my life, and I don't deserve this at all. I know what I did. Yep. And it is just like, I got teared up. This is the first X-Men movie that I openly cried in.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I broke down at that part, man, because it really got me, dude. And that I think speaks really to the quality of writing and acting that goes into this movie, dude. It's not a comic book movie,
no.
Dude. It's so great. It's a character piece.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so great. And I would love and it sucks because the takeaway from everything I've seen online and stuff is we're ready for a rated R X-Men now. And it's like, no, we're not ready for a rated R X-Men. We're not ready for a rated R anything. We're ready for the quality of writing and performances that this movie that happened to be rated R.
The story
delivered to us.
The story that they wrote was a rated R story. It's like, like I said, it's the same with tone. It's the same with ratings.
Well, yeah,
if you're trying to write
a
rated R movie, it's like, no, that's the wrong approach. Fucking look at what type of movie this was and how they took the characters and how they approached making a superhero movie. And if you want to adapt that into an X-Men movie, cool. It doesn't have to be rated R. You could probably write an amazing X-Men movie that has more serious at PG-13, or it could be rated R. You never know. But like, don't stop taking the wrong lessons.
You're learning the wrong lesson. It's not that it's rated R. It's that it was written well. It's that it was acted well. It's that it's a
great movie.
It's a great movie that happens to be rated R. And I feel like they need to start look at the movie and what it was about. It was about people that happened to have superpowers.
Yes.
It wasn't about superpowers that belonged to people.
Yeah, there were only certain scenes that
those superpowers even applied to.
That it mattered there were superpowers. A lot of the best scenes are just
talking.
People.
Talking. Yeah.
Story.
Yeah.
Emotion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And this movie was just great. If it wasn't an X-Men movie, it would still be fucking great.
Exactly. Well, it's funny, too, because I was telling you, I saw Mel Gibson's film Bloodfather.
Yes.
Which is, like, almost beat for beat the exact same story. It's old, regretful, violent dad.
It could have been a mob movie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did need to be of a crime.
It's so funny that we were just like, this is so real and so good, and then we're talking about how Dark Knight failed.
Yeah, no,
but
I know.
the problem is that you're still asked to accept the superhero elements in Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, it was mixing real down-to-earth crime with a man in a bat suit.
Yeah.
Where this...
No one had any costumes.
Where this wasn't trying to be down-to-earth. It was still about genetic engineering super freaks.
Yeah.
And a guy who just was stabbing people. And a guy fucking with this amazing power who's old and deteriorating now that can fucking kill an entire city if shit goes too wrong.
But the thing was it was about the guy that could heal, and the guy that had mental powers, and the girl that could heal and had claws.
Exactly.
And the jerk with a robot hand.
Exactly.
It wasn't about the robot hand and the claws and the healing and the psychic powers. And it wasn't
about taking those elements and trying to make them real.
No, it was just that these real people had this shit.
Yeah, it just took a story about character. It took a story, had these characters, this is what these characters were, and it made a story based on that. And like, it would be a whole nother hour podcast for us to try to break down exactly why this works for us. For
a lot of people.
Yeah, I'll say. But I'm saying as opposed to Dark, because I'm sure there's a bleed over of people who love Dark Knight and love this movie, and I don't blame
them.
For the
same reasons, yeah.
Most of our argument would be us explaining what in Dark Knight doesn't work for us.
For us, as opposed to this working.
And it's for us. That's what people need to understand as well.
Yeah.
These are opinions. These are our opinions. You know what I mean? I don't fault people for liking fucking Dark Knight. No. I take it as I jokingly talk about it because people are so passionate about it. It's funny to push people's buttons. So I don't want to sit here and dwell too much on we don't have to,
No, we're not comparing.
Yeah, we don't have to sit here and fucking argue our beliefs on this. It's just,
I
believe this did it a lot.
It's just that I found it a little funny that we're...
No, and that's why I brought it up in the beginning. People might call us hypocritical, but we also do state in that episode that Logan hopefully won't be that, and we were a little bit scared.
Yeah. Oh, I was very scared about this movie because I was bringing up Bloodfather, and it is the movie that I thought Logan could be, and I would be okay with that. But it's one of those movies where it's action piece to action piece to action piece to action piece, and you don't get as emotionally involved with the characters.
Yeah.
So when the ends come, you're kind of like, all right.
I was expecting this movie to be like, for me, to be like, all right, that was cool. This movie, I liked the approach of this movie, but that's not what ended up happening. I really loved the movie.
Yeah.
And if it was a product of them taking a certain approach, awesome. But I don't think so. I think this was just a solid script, a solid idea, good writing, and it wasn't based off of a tone or a premise or whatever. But I was expecting it to be almost Dark Knight-y, where it was kind of like
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and I was expecting to be like, oh, okay, that's a cool... And that's kind of how I felt coming out of Deadpool. I was like, that went well for them trying to make a comedy rated R comic book movie.
Yeah,
but then as I went on, I'm just like, no, it was much more than its idea. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
And this movie hit me right off the bat where I fucking forgot. I was like... I forgot what movie I went in, and I forgot everything I expected. And you know, for me, subverting expectations is my number one big. You got me.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. I know that you love subverting expectations and stuff like that, and that's exactly what this movie does.
Yes,
it gives you just a great story.
And that's the thing, but it still has the fun of not wacky, but of the it's in there. It's innately wacky because it's
not real. Because
it's not real. It's fantasy, but but it blends them so very well. Where in The Dark Knight, like I said, my biggest thing is I didn't feel a good blend there.
No,
I felt they were making a crime movie and being like, oh, also it stars a man in a mask.
Yeah, it pushes your ability to suspend disbelief.
Yes,
and this movie, you never stop believing.
Yeah.
Like these are real people.
Yeah. And that's why, as you put it, in jest, I like Dark Knight Rises more.
Yeah.
Because they never give up on even trying to make you suspend your disbelief. They just are like, no, this is dumb the whole way through.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they probably didn't think it was dumb, but...
No.
Yeah,
no, they were trying with that one. They were trying to Dark Knight as well, dude, and it just doesn't work. And that was why I hate Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
But no, dude, it kind of makes me sad. It's bittersweet on several levels.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just that, and like I said, I wish this was the last X movie because, like, I know they're making a new one, and I know it's gonna be right back to X2, X1.
At the same time, though,
Apocalypse.
you don't want us to fall into that trap where now every movie has to be this movie.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I'll say I
but
agree with
I would
you.
love for it to be, if you'll give me a minute, it to just be 4 kids and Charles. And then maybe 1 bad guy or 2 bad guys, 2 at the most. And these, because like in X-Men Apocalypse, that scene where the kids go to the mall, I wanted to go to the mall with the kids, not because like I'm like, oh, I love the mall, and it's the 80s. I wanted to see them, because those are some of the best parts of the comics too, is when the characters are interacting with each other, forming bonds, being people. Instead of just like, oh, we went to the mall and now I have to use my lasers. And it's like, no, don't breeze over that bit.
Yeah.
It's the strongest part of X-Men Apocalypse is Magneto and his family. That scene is so heartbreaking.
Yes.
Days of Future Past, when Charles and Magneto are having their conflict on the plane. Just Charles and Magneto in general in that whole movie are the strongest parts of that. Charles and Magneto. Charles and Eric are the strongest part of that movie. Just the way they talk to each other and just the tension between the two of each other and having to be friends again. And then at the end of Days of Future Past, Charles pleading with Eric to stop.
Yes.
You don't understand. We're trying to fix everything and you're fucking it all up.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and it's got the over the top, he's lifting the stadium and all that, dude. But
and that's what I'm saying is I agree with you on one end. I agree with you mostly on it is such a shame, bittersweet because the performance, not being able to see these performances of these characters in this way again, it's like, oh, that sucks. But I also, you're like, now they're going to totally not do this again.
Yeah.
But I will say that hopefully they can still make an X-Men movie and take the right lessons and adapt them.
And that's what my hope is.
And I know that you're like, that's probably not going to happen, and you're probably right.
Yeah.
But, be a little optimistic, I guess.
It's just, this movie does what movies like Iron Man 3 kind of promised in the trailers. I really thought we would deal more with Tony's PTSD and have some character development for him not being Iron Man for so long and having this mental crisis. I really thought we would get more of him falling apart and then coming back together as a man and then going out and doing heroic shit.
You know what I wonder about that? I wonder if you take the exact same script and have a different director do it, if we would have got more of that type of movie.
Yeah.
Because Shane Black, that's not the type of movie Shane Black makes.
No, he makes Predator, he makes The Nice Guys, Last Boy Scout.
Lethal Weapon or whatever the fuck.
Well, those are the movie he writes.
Yeah, the rights. That's what I'm talking
about. Writing and directing and all that, yeah.
But
I agree with you on that. That's I wonder if in different hands, like maybe Whedon, or because Whedon does a lot of great character moments. Look at Firefly. The reason people love Firefly is because the character moments, and the family that crew is. And I would wonder if Whedon would have handled it differently, but like this movie is what I was asking you that one day we were in the car and I was talking to you about what do you think would happen with a guy that gets put in a comic book movie that doesn't typically make comic book movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the answer to that question I had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's great. And, like, what's crazy is there was a time there where we're like, holy shit, anything like Marvel's got it fucking right. All these studios that have the rights to this other shit, they just fucking don't know where they're doing. Sony and Fox and fucking DC.
And then Fox delivers two great comic book films.
And then Fox has just been kind of killing it.